Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is the recorded information session for the Invest Atlanta Heritage Owner-Occupied Rehab Program. During this presentation, I will talk a little bit about Invest Atlanta, and then I will go over the program details in great detail. Also, the application intake, the actual rehab process, reasons why an application might be denied, and the cancellation policy as well. So let's get started. I always like to start every presentation with who is Invest Atlanta? I know many of you have probably heard of Invest Atlanta, but I always like to give that information for those that may not. Invest Atlanta is the official economic development authority for the city of Atlanta. And in essence, our sole job is to grow the economy for the city of Atlanta. And that includes building vibrant communities and increasing prosperity. We are governed by a 9-member board, and the mayor, Mr. Andre Dickens, serves as the chairman of our board. So we do, in fact, serve at the pleasure of the mayor. Okay, let's get into the program details. All right, so our 2023 Atlanta Heritage Owner-Occupied Rehab is really an anti-displacement program. And it is just a part of the city's strategy to preserve affordability for renters and homeowners alike. Through this effort, we're able to keep long-term residents from being pushed out of their homes by creating and doing deferred maintenance on their home for low to moderate income residents. The goal of the program is to create warm, safe, and dry environment and really to create a functional home for the homeowner and to allow seniors to age gracefully in place. The program itself will provide up to $30,000 for specific health and safety repairs. And so, again, that's up to $30,000. Not every case will receive the entire $30,000, but that is the maximum budget for any case that has the ability to participate in the program. These funds are provided in the form of a 5 or a 10-year forgivable loan. And many times we're asked, why are the funds provided in the form of a loan? Well, in order to really ensure that the mission of the program is being met, our funds are not for investors. The goal of these funds are not to have a homeowner fix up their home and then sell it. In the event that that happens, we would like to have the opportunity to recoup our funds because that is not the mission of the program. Again, the mission is to allow folks to age gracefully in place, to create a warm, safe environment for homeowners to live and maintain their home that they've been living in long term. And so by providing the funds in the form of a loan, that allows us to recoup those funds in the event that that home is sold during the term of the loan. So again, the way that we're determining the term of that loan, the direct construction cost is how we will determine whether or not you are receiving a 5 or 10-year term. So if you're getting direct construction costs of $15,000 or less, that will equate to a 5-year term. And in that 5-year term, those funds are being forgiven 20% each year. If you are receiving over $15,000 in direct construction costs, then that will result in a 10-year loan. And that loan is forgiven 10% a year until it is completely forgiven after that 10-year term. So ultimately, if the home is sold inside of the 5 or the 10-year term, whatever the remaining balance is the amount that will be recovered at the point of sale from the proceeds of that sale. So all of that said, this has no cost to the homeowner. We do not charge an application fee. And as long as you maintain home ownership as the primary resident of that home for the 5 or 10 year term, then those funds are fully forgiven and you would never have to pay them back. So ultimately, free money is what we like to call it. Okay. So let's talk about the eligibility guidelines and how you qualify for these funds. The homeowner must be an existing resident for at least 5 years prior to application. If you have not owned your home for at least 5 years, you will not be eligible for the program. Also, this program has some specific priorities uh, that will be ranked based on these four specific priority elements. So, seniors, head of households, age 65 or more, veteran head of household, disabled head of household, and those that have been living in their home for 15 years or longer will have priority in the program. And I'll talk a little bit more about that ranking later. Okay. Homeowners with a first or second mortgage lien are permitted. So if you have a first mortgage and a second mortgage, you are still permitted to apply for the program. If you have more than two liens on your property, you will not be eligible for the program. And if you do have mortgages, they must be current. If either any mortgage that you have is in default, you will not be eligible for our program. Okay. Also, if you have any outstanding tax liens or FICAs, you would not be eligible for the program. However, if you have a water lien and you are in a payment plan, then that would make you eligible for the program. Okay. And the reason why, I'd like to talk a little bit about why. In the event that you are delinquent in your mortgage, or if you have outstanding tax liens, then your home itself is in jeopardy. And so we would not be good stewards of the funding to deploy funds in a scenario where the home is in jeopardy of foreclosure or default due to tax liens. And that is why you're ineligible if either of those scenarios exist. Okay? If you have received funds from our Atlanta Heritage Owner-Occupied Rehab Program inside of the last 5 years, you are not eligible. We had more than 600 inquiries to this program. And if you have already received assistance, then we have to move on to serve those that have not received assistance previously. And probably most importantly, you must have household income of 60% of the area median income or below. Okay. And here is what that shakes out to. We are going to take into account the income of every person that lives in that home. Okay. And so an example would be if there's mom, dad, and child, that is a 3-person household. And that means that all of the working people in that home, the income combined cannot be greater than 55,140. Okay. If there are more children living in the home, children equal household members, but ultimately they don't work, but they do equal household members. We're only taking in consideration the income of the people that will be living in that home. Okay. And the income must be below what you see on the screen based on the number of people that live in the home. So, what is income, do you say? So, income would be W-2 income, Social Security, disability, retirement, pension, all of that is considered to be income and will be counted towards the household income. Okay. And that income is based on gross wages before taxes. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So what type of repairs will we do in this program? We have an, an eligible repair list that includes work on the interior of the home and the exterior of the home. So you see here, we will do HVAC, furnace, ductwork, hot water heaters, minor electrical, minor plumbing, ADA improvements, and that is America's Disability Act. Those type of improvements would include grab bars in the bathroom, a zero entry shower, possibly a wider doorway to allow for a wheelchair to enter. Exterior repairs would include roofs, gutters, things like porches, um, walkways and stairs, driveways that are hazardous, the addition of a ramp on the exterior home to allow for wheelchair entry. Those are the things that we are going to focus on. Okay. And so all of that to say is that it is not a program that just allows any and everything to be done. Okay, the program will not pay for custom finishes. It will be contractor grade materials. However, there will be an allowance to select colors, some colors. You may be able to select your gutter color. You may be able to select your roofing shingle color. You may be able to select the color of paint that will go on the siding. But it is important to understand that these will be contractor grade materials, and custom finishes and selections will not be allowable inside of the program. Okay. And here we have an example budget, and it's important to kind of talk through what a budget will look like and how the term of the loan is determined. Remember, I did say that the term of the loan would depend on direct construction costs. And so, direct construction costs are the things that need to be repaired, the cost of the things that need to be repaired. However, there are other costs that will be included in this budget, administrative costs that are required to conduct this type of work. So an inspection is required to do this work. A loan closing is required to do this work. In Georgia, an attorney has to close a residential loan. Okay, a program management fee will have to be paid. All of these things are a part of the total budget. Okay. All right. First example, direct construction costs of $19,000 plus a 10% contingency fee of $1,900. A contingency fee is not even a fee, but the contingency cost is the creation of a line item for the what ifs. What if I take the siding off of this house and find out that the wood beneath it has been eaten up by termites? That is something that I was not aware of, that was not in the original scope of work, but I have to fix. If I don't leave room in the budget for the unknown, then where will the money come from to fix those unknown items? So that is what the contingency line item is for those unknowns. Every budget will have a contingency line item. Okay. If we get through that project and there was nothing that came up on unknown, the program manager will have talked to you early in the process to determine what would be done with the contingency funds if we don't have any unknown issues in the project. You will have identified, hey, if we don't need our contingency money for unknowns, here is what we're going to do with that $1,900. We may be able to prune a tree. We may be able to install some bushes. whatever we can do inside of that $1,900 contingency budget, we will identify what those will be, what those things will be if we don't need the contingency for the unknown. Okay? So that gives you total direct construction costs of 20,900. Because that's over 15,000, that will result in a 10-year lien. Okay? The other items in the budget, again, closing costs, I've got them listed here at 3,000. Program management fee, there will also be an inspection fee. But that total budget turns out to be 28,900. That will be the total amount of your loan. Okay? In the second example, we've got direct construction costs of $10,000 and a contingency of $1,000. That gives us a total direct construction cost of $11,000. That results in a 5-year lien. You put the other administrative fees on it, and you've got a total budget of 16,300. Even though that total budget is over 15,000, because the direct construction costs are below 15,000, that will result in a 5-year lien, not a 10-year lien. Okay, just wanted to talk through how that budget will be designed. Okay, let's talk about application intake. Okay, between the dates of September 18th and September 22nd, that is a 1-week time frame between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., the application can be dropped off at any of the locations that you see on the screen. There are 7 locations that will be taking in-person applications. Paper applications can be dropped off at any of these 7 locations that you see on the screen for the week of September 18th through the 22nd. Okay? Also, those that are technologically inclined can go to this website here and they will be able to submit an electronic application. This list will include owner-occupied rehab. It will be on the very top. It will be the first thing that you see. Okay? You will click on that start application and you will be able to submit that application electronically as well. Okay? Between the week of September 18th and September 22nd. Okay? Whenever you drop off your paper application, the program manager will hand you a supporting documents checklist. And I'll go over that checklist shortly. But ultimately, it is the list of documents that a program manager will ask you for when it's your turn to be served. Okay? Applications can also be submitted via email. You can email a paper application to oor@investatlanta.com. You may also mail the application to the Invest Atlanta office. That address is at the very top of the application, and we'll go over that in a moment. If you don't have access to an application, applications will be made available on site at any of those 7 locations. You can go there, you can grab an application, fill it out on site, and hand it back to the program manager that is sitting there. And again, I've already talked about how you can do an electronic application. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is where you can download an application from our website and either drop it off or mail it to Invest Atlanta. Okay, and then here is the online portal again here. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this application in detail. This is what the application looks like. It really is a 1-page application, front and back. I've just blown it up in portions so that we can go through each section together, but this application is one page, front and back. At the beginning, you will see that we say on the application, and you heard me say this earlier, if you've received funds from Invest Atlanta from this program within the last 5 years, you are not eligible for assistance. Okay? Again, you can print this application and fill it out by hand. Okay? And you can email it back to owner-occupied to OOR at Invest Atlanta. You can mail it to the Invest Atlanta address at 133 Peachtree, Suite 2900, Atlanta, Georgia 30303, or you can drop it off at any of the 7 locations that we have. All right. So again, what we want is the names of the homeowner. If it's one homeowner, that's fine. If there's more than one homeowner, put both homeowners' names at the top. And then we need the full address of the home that is to be serviced. Okay. This address needs to be the place where these 2 people or this person actually lives. If you do not live in the home that needs to be serviced, it is not an eligible address. Okay. It must be owner occupied. Okay. If you know your city council district, add that. If you know your neighborhood planning unit letter, add that. If you know the name of your neighborhood, add that. However, if you don't know any of this information, that's 100% okay. We can find this information. Okay. So don't feel like your application is going to be looked over if this information is not here. That is not the case. We will find that information and we will add it if it's missing. And then, of course, we need your phone number. And if you utilize email, please add your email address. Again, only if you utilize it. Please do not add an email address if you don't use email regularly and we'll check it regularly. Okay. This next section is the advocate section. So an advocate is someone that you may have deemed the person that will be helping you through this process on your side. Maybe it's your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your grandchild that is going to kind of help you walk through this process. We want to understand if you have an advocate that you have given us permission to speak with. Okay. We need your permission to speak with someone other than you with regards to this program. Okay. So if you have an advocate, great. If you do not, one is not required. The program managers for our program will walk you through this process. Okay. All right. So that's the top half of the front page of the application. Now let's talk about the bottom half of that application. Here is the homeowner rankings that I talked about previously. The 4 priority areas of the program are listed here. And we ask the questions, are you 65 years or older? If so, you're going to check yes. Are you a veteran? Yes or no. Have you owned your home for more than 15 years? Yes or no. And if so, how many years have you lived there? And then, are you disabled? Yes or no. Okay. Your answers to these questions are going to determine your rank in the program. If you can check yes to all 4 of these, then you are ranked a 4. And it will go 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 based on whether or not you check these boxes. Okay. Please do not check the boxes just trying to be ranked higher, because you certainly will have to submit documentation to support all of these things. Okay. But this is the order in which people will be served in the program. We will serve 4s, then 3s, then 2s, then 1s, and then 0s. If you are a 0, it does not mean that you cannot be served. It just means that you will have to wait to be served. Okay? So don't think that just because you can't check any of these boxes that you shouldn't apply. Go ahead and apply. Okay. But you have to be very patient. Okay. Because we will go in order of rank. Okay. We are then going to ask your household, uh, how many household members do you have? How many people live in that home? So that's you, if you have a daughter, if you have grandchildren that live in that home, not people that come to visit, not grandchildren that come to visit, but people who actually live in that home. Okay. What year was the home constructed? If you know it, great. If you don't, that's okay as well. This just gives us some understanding of what we're dealing with. Is this home 10 years old or is this home 50 years old? Okay. We just want to have an understanding of how old the home is. And then what is your total household income? Remember, we want to understand the income of every person that lives in that home. Okay. We also want to understand, is there a mortgage on that home? Do you own it outright? If you don't have a mortgage, then you likely own that home outright. Okay. We want to understand what type of home it is. Is it a single family structure? Is it a duplex, a triplex, or a quadruplex? I will tell you that the single family structure is the only eligible housing type. We will not be able to serve duplexes, triplexes, or quadruplexes. Okay. And also, we would like to know if you've received funding, any other home repair funding from the city of Atlanta. Okay. That was not this program. It was not the Atlanta Heritage Program. Did you receive some other funding from the city of Atlanta? And if the answer is yes, then when did you receive it and how much, if you can recall what that number is? Okay. And then lastly, at the bottom of that front page, we want to know what you think the repairs are that your home needs. This does not mean that you're going to get everything that you check, but we do want to understand, what do you think the house needs? Okay. The reality is we're going to do an inspection so that we will know what the most egregious repair needs are. But we do want to understand what it is that you think your house needs most. Okay. So that's the front page of the application. Let's now talk about the back page. Okay. These are when you are going to attest your attestations. Okay. And guys, I know that you may see pre-application in some places, but understand that the pre-application is the application. There is no other step after the pre-application. It is the only application. So I want to be clear to say that to you because you may see pre-application in some places. Okay. There is not any other steps after you complete the pre-application. Okay. So let's go through these. You can prove that you own your home, right? We cannot do work on a home that you don't own. So you need to be able to prove that. It is documentation that we will ask for. Okay. I have owned my home for at least 5 years. We've already established that you have to have 5 years ownership before you can apply. Okay. The only caveat to this, and I will say this, is in the instance where a husband and wife have lived in a home together for years, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years, and that home was titled in the husband's name, and the husband may have recently passed away, and the wife has recently had that home titled to her name. She may have lived in it for 30 years, but only been on title for 2. Okay. We will still allow that wife to apply for that widow, I should say, to apply for the program. She will need to be able to supply a marriage license. Okay. And that will allow us to assume that she lived in the home with her husband for all of those years. And she will meet the 5-year requirement, even though she may have only been on title for 2 years, but she has been certainly living there for longer than 5 years with her previously deceased husband. Okay. We will also allow a scenario with a long-term heir that had been living in that home with the original owner and maybe had been living there for longer than 5 years, and the homeowner recently passed away, and that heir has recently been added to title. That heir is going to have to prove that they had been living in that home for more than 5 years. And they're going to do that with either a driver's license, a passport, a tax return, or a utility bill that will indicate that they had lived in that at that address for at least 5 years prior to this application, even though they may only be on title for 2 years. Okay, just wanted to break that down. All right, you'll need to attest that you meet the income guidelines for the program, that you are current on your mortgage, that you are current on your property taxes, that you have or will obtain homeowners insurance, that you will agree to a home inspection to determine the project costs, okay? That you have clean title to your home without any liens or encumbrances other than a first or second mortgage, which are certainly allowable, okay? I understand that the rehab costs, inclusive of any contractor fees and program management costs, will not exceed $30,000 per home as estimated by the home inspection. Okay, I understand that my home may not require the use of the total available $30,000 budget, and only an amount needed to complete critical repairs will be made available. Okay, that means that not everyone will have a $30,000 budget. Okay, I understand that if a lien is placed on my property after the initial title search, I will be disqualified from the program. Okay, I could be disqualified from the program. So basically, what that means, if we pull title and everything is beautiful and the title is clean, and then we pull it again later in the process before we close, and a new lien has been placed on title, it could disqualify you from the program. Okay, a new tax lien, a new FIFA, anything that's unfavorable that shows up on that title before we close could result in you being disqualified from the program. Okay. I understand that anyone listed on the title of my home must agree to participate in the program and must sign this application as well as closing documents. Okay. If there are multiple owners to that home, then they have to agree to do the work. One owner cannot decide to have work done on a property that multiple people own. Okay. And then I also understand that if there is a deceased person listed on my title, that may result in the application being denied. What I would say is if this scenario applies to you, that you go ahead and apply for the program. But like I said, we will pull title. We will have an attorney that is assisting us with any title challenges, and they will help us make the decision whether or not that is an application we can move forward with. So just go ahead and apply, but understand that it could result in a denial. Okay, that's the top portion of the backside of the application. Okay, this is the bottom portion of the backside of the application. You will initial. I understand that participating in this program will require my signature on a 5-year or a 10-year promissory note or deed. I've already stated that this is a loan. These funds are provided in the form of a loan. If you are uncomfortable signing a note and deed, then that means you are not comfortable participating in the program. Okay? So I just want you to understand that there's no way around it. You will have to sign a note and deed to receive this funding. Okay? I understand that participating in this program will require contractors and inspectors to be present in and on my property, and I will not impede their progress. Okay? Having contractors on the property is required. Okay? You've got to understand that. You've got to be flexible about their presence. Okay, just want you to know and understand that. And I understand, and this is very important, that the program only pays for critical system repairs from the eligible repair list and will not replace structurally viable, non-life threatening items or provide cosmetic items except for the items within the limits of an exterior home beautification. And basically, what that means is maybe some tree trimming, maybe some shrubbery, some flowers in the front yard. Okay. All right. And this last thing is very important as well. Do you agree to allow Invest Atlanta to share the information provided with Invest Atlanta partners and other agencies for the purposes of providing owner-occupied rehab services? Okay. And the reason we're asking you for this is because we work very closely with other agencies that provide similar services. If you cannot qualify for our services, we'd like to be able to pass your application along to those other agencies. If you have work that exceeds the budget that Invest Atlanta can provide to you, we'd like to be able to pass your name and information on to other agencies that can assist to help you get the greatest benefit possible. And that is the only reason we would transfer or share your information. Completely up to you, but we certainly hope that your answer to that would be yes. Okay. And then you would sign and date it. And that is it in a nutshell for the application for this program. If you go on to the portal to do this electronically, these are the exact same questions that are in the electronic portal that are in this paper application. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about supporting documents. When it is your turn to be served, the program manager is going to call you and ask for the supporting documents that you see on the screen. Keep this list available because you need to begin to collect these documents. So when it is your turn to be served, you don't have to go looking for them. Okay. It is in this presentation. You'll be able to review this at any time. If you drop off your application in person, the program manager will hand you a sheet that has these documents listed on it for reference so that you can hang on to it and go find these documents so that you're ready when you get the call. You do not need to bring these documents to application drop off. They will not accept them. And the reason for that is we have no idea at what point you will receive service. So you don't need to drop off documents that could be expired by the time it is your turn for service. Okay, this is just a list for you to have and keep so that you are ready to go. Okay, and just remember the address on your application should match the address that is on your driver's license or state issued ID. Okay, if you are disabled, you need to provide proof of Social Security, disability, or at the very least, a letter from your physician on letterhead speaking to your disability. Okay, we will take that as well. Okay. All right, let's talk about this rehab process and how it actually happens. Okay. So the program managers for this program are what you see on the screen now. These are 6 different agencies that have been selected as program managers for our program. They will manage this process, your process, from soup to nuts, okay? From application intake all the way through construction, management, and completion. They will be the ones providing you with all of the documents that need to be signed, talking you through those documents, making sure that you understand the program and how it is going to work and next steps throughout. Okay? They have been assigned to specific council districts. And so you see on the screen, council districts 1 and 8 will be handled by Family Community Housing Association. Council Districts 2 and 9 will be handled by Executive Realty Solution. Council Districts 3 and 4 will be handled by Meals on Wheels Atlanta. Council Districts 5 and 7 will be handled by Market Movers and Mavens. Council Districts 6 and 10 will be handled by House Proud Atlanta. Council Districts 11 and 12 will be handled by Synergy Real Estate. And I will tell you that they're very good at their jobs. 5 of the 6 of these program managers have been working in this program since 2018. They're very, very familiar with it, and they will serve you extremely well. But I wanted to start this conversation with them because these are the folks you will be dealing with directly. Okay? All right. So as I stated, applications will be ranked 4 through 0. And our program managers will data entry that information into our neighborly portal. Those of you that did an electronic application, you were in our neighborly portal when you did that. It is the application that houses all of the information for the program. Okay? Our program managers will begin to call applicants in order of rank. Okay? To begin to collect their supporting documents. Okay, that should be likely the week of October 2nd is when this process will start. Okay, just because a program manager calls you does not mean that you have been approved to participate. It is the beginning of determining if you can be approved to participate. Okay? They will ask for the supporting documents that we just talked about on the previous slide, okay? You will have 2 weeks to respond to that program manager. They will call you at first. If they don't get a response from you via phone, they will send a letter in the mail that they are trying to reach you with regards to this program and collect your supporting documents. If they do not receive a response from you, your application will be withdrawn and you will have to apply the next time the application opens. Okay? So please be responsive. And this is why I said if you have an email address, if you're adding an email address, it needs to be an email address that you check regularly. Okay? Once they collect your documents, they will review for accuracy. If your documents do not support the rank that is on your pre-application, then your rank will be changed to the correct rank and you will be moved down in the pipeline to receive service later to correspond with your correct rank. Okay? Once your eligibility is confirmed, because your program manager is going to review all those documents, once your eligibility is confirmed, the program manager will then request a title search to ensure that your title is clean. And so basically what that means, they're going to have an extractor pull title. The title attorney is going to pull title to determine what's on your title. Are there any other mortgages on your title? Are there tax liens on your title? Are there water liens on your title? This is how we determine that information. Okay? And once we have a chance to review the title, ensure it's a clean, and that means you are then accepted into the program. Only once your eligibility requirements and your title is acceptable, only then are you approved to participate. Okay? If at any point information is revealed that you will not meet program guidelines, you will receive a denial letter. Okay? All right. So once you have been approved to participate, the program manager is going to provide you with an actual approval letter. Okay? And they will discuss what this process looks like. And they will also discuss what the project cancellation policy looks like. I'm going to go over that at the very end, but they will talk to you about both of those things. The approval letter itself will also outline a brief process that the rest of this process will look like. Okay, so you will have that in your hand, but they will talk about it first. Okay, so the first thing that happens after you get your approval letter is that the program manager will schedule a home inspection. Okay, they will have that done, they will review it for you. Okay, this is how we are going to prioritize repairs. Okay, those based on the greatest needs and those that can be done within the available budget. Okay, now hopefully what you indicated on your application lines up with what the inspection says needs to be done. Okay, but it's very likely we will not be able to do everything that you've checked on your application, and we will not be able to do everything that's identified in that inspection. However, we will coordinate to prioritize those repairs, again, based on greatest need and budget. Okay? So the program manager will come up with a preliminary scope of work for you to look at. And hopefully you are in agreement. Okay, these are the things that will fit in the budget. These are the things that I need most. Okay? Once you and the program manager are on the same page about that preliminary scope of work, the program manager is then going to get bids from a contractor. Okay? A contractor that they select. It is the program manager's responsibility to select the contractor. The contractor may not be selected by the homeowner. Okay, and the reason is because we want it done by a licensed and insured contractor whose work we know is acceptable. Okay, we don't want homeowners choosing their cousin, their nephew to do this work. It's not acceptable. Okay, really important. The program manager will select the contractor. Okay, they will get the final bids to ensure that the scope of work that we've selected will actually fit into the budget. Okay, and then they will get that signed off by you. Okay, the budget that has the cost associated with everything and the scope of work. Okay, once all of that has been signed off by you and the program manager, they will submit that scope of work and budget to Invest Atlanta for approval. Okay, we will review it and provide our approval, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, once we have provided our approval, then that final scope of work is provided to the homeowner. And the program manager will provide a date that the home must be rehab ready. So what does that mean, rehab ready? If there is furniture for some reason in the way of the work that has been identified in the scope of work, then it is the homeowner's responsibility to make sure that that area is clear prior to rehab. Okay, the date of rehab readiness that the program manager gave, the homeowner must ensure that the home is rehab ready. Okay, and this has to happen before closing, because once we close on that loan transaction, we are ready to start working. Okay, so the program manager is going to coordinate that loan closing between the homeowner and the closing attorney. Okay, the homeowner is going to go to the closing attorney's office and they're going to sign those loan documents. Okay, again, these funds are provided in the form of a loan. Okay, you will have to go to a closing and sign loan documents with an attorney. After closing, the program manager is also going to facilitate the signing of an agreement between the homeowner and the contractor. The contractor is doing work on your home. Therefore, there has to be a contract between you and the contractor. Okay? And the program manager is also going to issue a notice to proceed so that the contractor can start work. They're going to obtain the permits required on that work. And then the program manager is going to monitor that construction throughout. Okay, they may stop by every other day or so. In the event that you have any challenge with the work as it is happening, you need to reach out directly to the program manager. Okay, they are your main point of contact during construction, during this process. Now, obviously, if you cannot get resolution with the program manager, then you would reach out directly to Invest Atlanta. But the program manager is there to manage that process through and through. Okay. Once that construction is over, the program manager will schedule a final inspection. Invest Atlanta does a third party inspection to ensure that the scope of work that we agreed to was in fact done. Okay. The city inspectors will also inspect the work of the permitted items. Okay. And then lastly, the program manager will obtain an acknowledgement of completion from the homeowner to ensure that the homeowner acknowledges that all the work that was in the original scope of work was done and done to satisfaction. And then lastly, Invest Atlanta will send out a satisfaction survey directly to the homeowner for completion. Okay. The goal is that we complete this process inside of 90 days. It's very likely that the work itself will be done inside of 30 days. But from the very beginning of needing an inspection, getting a scope of work created, getting that scope of work bid, going through a closing, and then doing construction, all of that together, our goal is to complete in 90 days. Okay, which is really, really good. All right, let's talk about some reasons why an application might be denied. Title issues is the number one reason. Title issues is the number one reason why an application in this program might be denied. Tax liens and FIFAs will result in a denial. In many cases, a deceased person on title will result in a denial. We will allow our title attorneys to look at that situation and see if we can collect the necessary documents to allow a person to move forward, but it can result in a denial. And then certainly multiple people on title that are not in agreement with having this work done will result in a denial. Okay? If you are over the household income limit, the application will be denied. If there is no homeowner's insurance, the application will be denied. If the property is not in the city of Atlanta footprint, it cannot be eligible. And then if the repairs do not qualify, the application could be denied. And let me talk a little bit about that. In some cases, we have had the work needed be so egregious that it far exceeds a $30,000 budget, and doing one thing would result in having to do 10 things. That is not a case that we can take on. It would result in a denial. And then, of course, if the home is not owner occupied, that would result in a denial. You must be living in the home currently in order for us to do this work. Okay. And lastly, let me talk about our cancellation policy. Okay. The cancellation policy is instituted when it is determined that it is not economically feasible or possible to rehabilitate the house, or when the homeowner fails to adhere to the homeowner responsibilities outlined below. Okay. So those are two scenarios that would constitute project cancellation, right? So if again we've determined we have an inspection and that inspection identifies that the house is dangerous and maybe should be condemned, and this is a scenario that has happened, even though there's someone living in that home, we cannot in good faith send our program managers, contractors, and subcontractors in a house that has been deemed unsafe. Okay. We would not be able to move forward in a scenario like that, and we would have to cancel that project. Okay. And then the homeowner responsibilities. If you are not adhering to your responsibilities, it could result in project cancellation. Okay? You need to provide true and accurate information, not misrepresenting yourself or financial condition to the program manager. You must promptly provide the program manager requested information and documents. You must ensure that prior to loan closing that the property is ready for rehab to start. No obstructions, no debris, no other blockages. You must commit to working cooperatively and constructively with the program manager and contractors. And this is a big one, okay? If you are adversarial with contractors and subcontractors, they will walk off the job. It has happened before. They will not accept abuse from you. However, that does not mean that you must subject yourself to abuse from them either. Okay. The goal is to work cooperatively. Okay. All right. Please refrain from using abusive and derogatory language while communicating with the program manager, general contractor, or subcontractors or Invest Atlanta staff. All right. Cooperate and abide by programmatic rules, resulting in a complete project. And allow third-party inspectors to inspect the items included in the scope of work or change order. Okay, so very, very simple. We don't anticipate having to cancel someone's project because of these things, but it's important to know, for you to understand that it is possible if you are not going to be cooperative and work within the programmatic guidelines. Okay, now let's talk about a few FAQs, frequently asked questions, and I think I've covered these, but I want to talk to you about them again because these are the questions that we still get. How much money will the program provide for my home repairs? The maximum deferred forgivable lien will be up to $30,000 as needed. Very important to note that this amount will include all repair costs, construction management, and construction administrative costs, eligible closing costs, contingency reserve, beautification, and etc. Every cost to manage this program is included in that $30,000 budget. Okay? How much am I eligible for? Only the amount needed to cover the cost of the eligible repair items will be provided. All applicants may not reach the full $30,000 budget. Okay. Are there any out-of-pocket costs for me to participate in the program? No. Qualified homeowners do not pay any money out of pocket for the application or rehab services. In essence, this will result in free money for you for these home repairs. Your only requirement is to stay in place for the 5 or 10 years required. Okay? Am I taking out a loan for my home repairs? The answer is yes. It is a forgivable loan. No payment is required for this loan unless the program participant moves out of the home or sells that property before the expiration date of the 5 or 10-year affordability period. In that scenario, our remaining balance will be recouped from the sale, the proceeds of the sale. Okay. Will there be a lien on my home? Yes. Homeowners with a first and second mortgage against their properties are eligible for this program. Our program will result in an additional lien being placed against the property until you have lived in that home for the 5 or 10-year term of our loan. At the end of that period, the loan is fully forgiven and the lien is canceled. Okay? And as a reminder, if you have tax liens or recorded FIFAs, you will not be able to participate. And water liens with a payment plan are acceptable. Okay? All right. And I think that wraps it up. So all of this information can be found on the Invest Atlanta website that you see listed here. This recording will also be listed on the Invest Atlanta website. And please remember, when you're watching this, you can stop, you can take notes, you can start, stop, rewind to get information that you may have missed or that you need to listen to again. Just rewind it and listen to it again. Okay, if you have any questions, you can email us at oor@investatlanta.com, or you also may be able to call us at 404-614-8338. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to getting your application.